Hi, everybody. Dorothy here, Professional Astrologer. You can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. So today I'm going to talk about the week of April 6th. And in that week, we have on the 7th, the full moon in Libra, and it's a super moon. Also on the 7th, we have Mars and Uranus in a square. And later in the week, we have Mercury changing signs, moving into the sign of Aries. So there's a lot that we have to work with, and how we're going to work with it within the confines of what's going on in our lives, because collectively we're all going through some very similar things. So we're going to talk about all of that. So let's get started. I will share my screen now. Hopefully it will share. There it is. All right. So this is just April 6th. So Monday, April 6th. And actually, even if we went back a day, and don't worry if you're trying to follow this by house placements, that is not valid in the way that I'm reading this right now. And I use Placidus house system, tropical zodiac. And so the main thing I wanted to focus on is, so even half of Saturday, April 4th, all of Sunday, April 5th, I'm looking at the moon in Virgo here. I'm going to talk about that. And then into half of April 6th, the moon in Virgo. And especially on Monday, April 6th, the moon is opposite Neptune, Mercury. All right. It was right here. And then that was early in the morning. And then it trines the Capricorn planets. And so what do we want to do with this? What this shows us is over these few days, Saturday afternoon till Monday afternoon, the 6th, Monday the 6th, we have this opportunity to really organize, sift and sort, really figure out what those details are for yourself. Because Virgo is takes the information that the other sign that Mercury rules, Gemini, gathers. Mercury organizes it. So Virgo organizes it. That's what I meant to say. Virgo organizes the information. So we've all been, restricted to our homes somewhat or completely for at least 2 weeks now. So this is the first time during our confinement here in the United States that we've had the moon in Virgo. So you have an opportunity to use the energy of the moon and a waxing lunar phase as well, because it's full on the 6th. And I'll talk about that in a second. Use that energy and really become as organized as you possibly can. Sift and sort through those details. That's what that waxing moon in the sign of Virgo wants us to do. All right. So that's the first thing. Moving on to, let's go to the next day at 2:50 in the afternoon. Here we are on April 7th. Let me go to 2:50. I have to go a couple more hours. There we are, 2:50 p.m. Eastern time zone. What we have here is where is it? Here's Mars at 5 degrees of Aquarius, making it its exact square aspect to Uranus. Now, this can feel incredibly edgy. It really does feel very, very edgy. I'm going to read my notes. So if I'm looking down, that's why. Okay. My microphone's here. I'm going to talk closer. No, I'm fine. So when we have this Mars and Uranus square, we're going to feel a lot of tension. And it is coming together even as I'm recording this, even prior throughout the weekend until we get to April 7th. When this is at such a critical point, this creates a lot of tension and a lot of stress in our psyche, and it can bring up fear and anxiety for a lot of people, really bringing it to a head right now. So we do have to exhale and inhale, really breathe with this, because it can feel really uncomfortable, because life is very much out of balance right now. The moon is in Libra, and that's where it's going to be full. And so with Mars and Uranus squaring right before the full moon in Libra, I want us to recognize the fact that, if something does come to the surface, use it, work with it, face it, move through it. This is our opportunity to release this energy, because sometimes, depending on who you are and your home circumstances at this point in time, things will come to a head, but sometimes they have to. Because sometimes it's just like we feel like we're in control, but then inside we're fearful that we're out of control, and we have no way to control anything. So this is when we do our deep, deep work. We surrender. So the tension builds, so we have no choice but to surrender. Because if we don't surrender, the fear and anxiety becomes worse and worse and worse. And even when we do surrender, it still sneaks back in because we are in unique circumstances. So don't expect yourself to be completely in control all the time. But at this period, this is the middle of the afternoon, or if you're on the west coast of the US, it's right at noon. If we really want you just to make sure that you release that energy or find a way to surrender into what is so important for you. All right. This is such a deep, deep work. And with this energy, I mean, I've been, not watching a lot because I'm just in overwhelm personally. So I've been watching people like Deva Premal and Mitten, and they're doing a lot of chanting. I like to chant. Helps me with my jaw. I clench. I've been doing that for over a year now. And broke a tooth, so I got to have oral surgery tomorrow. Yeah, in the middle of all of this, Capricorn stuff rules the teeth, right? The upper jaw is ruled by Aries, and my Mars is in Aries, and all of this stuff is squaring my Mars, my in Aries. So I kind of knew I would have stuff going on up here. Physical body is really impacted by some of the transits too. So, for me, the pressure got so much, I was clenching too much, tooth came right out. I hope you don't have that experience. I hope you can find a way to release the energy before it gets to a peak. And I know this hasn't happened yet, and this has in my world, but it's all right. I mean, I'll get through it. It's just a tooth facing fears. Who likes to go to the dentist? Nobody. Isn't there enough to be afraid of, right? So how we want to use this is well, not how. We'll see what comes up, and then you'll make your decision to use this in a really positive way and move through it and take some action. And then action is surrendering, and then do your deep work. And that's really, really important. And that's the biggest news of the whole week, honestly. But we also have simultaneously, so I think this kind of buffs right up against it, because a little while later, we have the full moon at 18 degrees of Libra, and that is at 10:35 p.m. Eastern time. And so when we have the full moon in Libra, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity, but it makes us very, very aware of, if we are in relationship with others, either how secluded we are, because Libra wants that back and forth relationship, needs that energy, needs that balance, needs that harmony. And we're really out of balance right now because we're not able to interact like we used to. So this full moon in Libra tells me that we are needing to seek and find some more balance. So the full moon brings everything to our attention. It illuminates to us whether we're too lonely, whether we're too isolated, or even if we have too many people around us and we need to figure out how to have our own space. I know those are two very different things, but there's a lot of people watching this, and there's a ton of you everybody's different, and everybody's going through a different experience. So use this full moon in Libra to find your balance. And if it's just to come back to your center and do your own meditations and do your own deep work, that's fine, because we think of those scales and they're balancing on this little pinnacle, right? So think of that. And it's just like, maybe there's too many people around or not enough people around, and figure out what your balance needs to be and how you want to interact more with others. All right. That's really the important thing. So let me find that chart. I don't think I have that chart up yet. I do not. Let me put up the chart of the full moon. I just was talking. So 10:35 p.m. Here it is. So this is what it looks like in the US. I mean, on the East Coast of the US. If you're in a different part of the country, it will shift. It'll go back that way. But this is at 10:35 p.m. here. So that's what I want us to do with it more than anything, is to really find that, that way of really connecting with how you want life to be more balanced for yourself. All right. Okay. There's a lot more that I'm going to talk about if you're a member of my Patreon group. That is tier 2. So it's just a few dollars a month to be part of that tier. If you want to get more information, come and join me on my Patreon page. That would be great. And just a couple bucks. It's not much. All right, let's move on, because later on Wednesday the 8th. So what are we going to do with this? So we have this super moon, full moon. We're doing all this finding, seeking balance in all those different ways. Next, the moon enters the sign of Scorpio. So for 2 days, so that would be Wednesday afternoon, all Thursday, and half of Friday the 10th, we have the moon in Scorpio. That as well says, take that deep dive, do some deep meditations, deep work, whatever that means to you. All right. We can become obsessive when the moon is in the sign of Scorpio. It's still this full moon lunar phase. So we can get very deep about that. So you can go in, and with full moons, we tend to do releasing things. That's where that surrendering comes in, especially with that Mars-Uranus square, also with the full moon in Libra. And a few hours later, we'll still be in the full moon phase. The moon will be in Scorpio. You're finding an opportunity for a lot of releasing. All right. Releasing the very deep things. With Pluto and Jupiter conjunct still, they haven't gotten that far from each other. Here they are. You know, Pluto is really insisting that we go and we transform and we change. So make sure you are doing that type of work. And then on Saturday, the 11th, to that. And here's Mercury entering the sign of Aries. So Mercury in the sign of Aries, it's going to be in that sign for the next 3 weeks. So a lot of people, when we get to this energy, we're going to be really speaking the truth. Mercury is how we communicate, and Aries is very direct. There's no sugarcoating anything when it comes to the sign of Aries. It's just true, pure. It's very self-knowledge, self-knowing, right? Selfish, some people will say, but that doesn't matter right now, because we're all really feeling like we're in this survival mode in a way. And so that Mercury in the sign of Aries for the next 3 weeks is really going to make us like be very open, very truthful, very honest. We want to keep our minds open during the 3 weeks that it's in that sign. We're also going to be feeling, Mercury also rules driving around and going places, and depending on the level of restrictions in your state, we're going to be feeling very, very antsy and uncomfortable because we're not able to just get out and about like we want to. And it's spring and we need to. So you'll have to figure that piece out when we get to this, right? It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So there's that. Now is also, you could be very inspired at this point in time to start new projects, new writing projects. If you still haven't got up to par yet with getting on the internet here and talking to people and interacting with with classes and stuff, all this remote stuff, this is an opportunity to be courageous. Start that new video blog you've been wanting to do for years, or start writing that kind of a blog, whatever it is. Mercury and Aries can give us a lot of courage to speak our truth and get that out there in the best way that's possible for us. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Come to my Facebook page, Dorothy Morgan Astrologer. I am doing a few live presentations there, here and there, so you can get more information there. And I could use a bump here on YouTube, people. Things are kind of slowing down for me, but you know, it waxes and wanes, right? It does. So I wish you the best. I wish you health and wellness, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stop my sharing, and then I'm going to stop with the recording. Thank you very much. I really, just blessings from my heart to yours.